Why Hollywood can't stop falling for Keanu Reeves. Some actors are famous, some are admired, some are respected, but there's one actor who keeps triggering the same reaction from women across Hollywood, decade after decade, and it isn't because he chased attention, flirted aggressively, or tried to be charming. In fact, it's almost the opposite. What makes this story fascinating isn't just who openly admitted they fell for him, it's why they did. That actor is Keanu Reeves, and the pattern around him is impossible to ignore. Because when women talk about Keanu, they don't talk the way they usually talk about movie stars. They slow down, they soften, they smile like they're remembering something personal. And that's where this story really begins. Hollywood is an industry built on ego. Big personalities, loud confidence, constant self-promotion. So when someone quietly stands out without doing any of that, people notice. Early in his career, Keanu wasn't marketed as the heartthrob. He wasn't pushed as the smooth-talking charmer. If anything, he was the calm presence in a room full of noise. And somehow, that calm became magnetic. One of the earliest public moments that revealed this came from Sandra Bullock. Years after working together, she admitted she had a crush on Keanu at the time. Not a joking crush, not a publicity one, a real one. But what's interesting isn't that she had a crush, it's how she explained it. She didn't talk about his looks first. She didn't talk about fame. She talked about how he treated people. She talked about how grounded he was, how comfortable it felt to be around him. And then she casually admitted something even more surprising. They both had crushes on each other and never acted on it. In Hollywood, that alone is almost unheard of. Most people would push, most people would test boundaries, most people would try to turn chemistry into something more. Keanu didn't. And that restraint, that respect, it's the same thread that keeps showing up again and again. What's remarkable is that this wasn't an isolated experience. Years later, another woman who worked closely with him described something very similar. When Winona Ryder talks about Keanu, the tone shifts. She doesn't describe a celebrity. She describes someone gentle, someone kind, someone emotionally safe. She admitted she had a crush on him too. But again, the focus wasn't romance. It was trust. And that's when the pattern starts to become undeniable. Different women, different eras, same emotional response. And this is where most people misunderstand what's happening. They assume it's about attraction, but it isn't. It's about presence. Keanu never leans too close. He never crosses lines. He never mistakes admiration for entitlement. There's a reason fans noticed he often keeps his hands visibly away when posing for photos. That detail alone tells you everything. He understands boundaries. And boundaries, paradoxically, are what create emotional gravity. When Carrie-Anne Moss spoke about him, someone who worked closely with him for years, her words weren't about attraction in the obvious sense. She talked about trust, about how safe it felt working with him, about how he made space for others, about how he never made moments about himself. That kind of presence does something powerful. Because in an industry where people are constantly performing, someone who isn't trying to impress becomes unforgettable. And here's where the pattern becomes clearer. Women don't describe Keanu as charming. They describe him as steady. As time went on, a new generation of actresses entered the picture. Different era. Different expectations, same reaction. When Ana de Armas spoke about working with Keanu, there was a noticeable shift in tone. She wasn't praising a legend from afar. She was talking about a colleague, someone attentive, someone encouraging, someone who listened more than he spoke. And again, the admiration wasn't framed as romantic in a flashy way. It was framed as respect first. That's rare, because most celebrity admiration is loud. This wasn't. It was warm. What's fascinating is how consistent this is across decades. Different women, different backgrounds, different ages, same emotional response. And it forces an uncomfortable question. What if attraction isn't about charisma, but about how safe someone feels to be themselves around you? Keanu never leans too close. He never crosses lines. He never turns admiration into entitlement. There's a reason fans noticed he often keeps his hands visibly away when posing for photos. That detail alone tells you everything. He understands boundaries. And boundaries, paradoxically, are what create emotional gravity. Hollywood rewards confidence, but it also punishes arrogance. Keanu somehow avoided both extremes. He didn't dominate rooms. He didn't disappear into them either. He existed calmly within them. That balance is rare. And when people talk about him years later, they don't talk about a moment. They talk about a feeling. How he made them feel respected, seen, unpressured. And that feeling sticks longer than looks ever do. What's even more telling is that these stories don't feel rehearsed. They feel remembered, like something that left a quiet mark. And that's why this isn't just a compilation of celebrities praising an actor. It's a case study in presence. Because Keanu Reeves didn't become admired by trying to be irresistible. He became irresistible by refusing to perform. And in the next part, something interesting happens. Because admiration turns into something deeper. Not just respect, not just fondness, but a kind of emotional loyalty that Hollywood almost never shows. And once you see that pattern, you'll understand why this keeps happening, and why it probably always will. The kind of admiration Hollywood rarely shows. By the time you notice the pattern, it's already too late to unsee it. Because admiration for Keanu Reeves doesn't fade with time, it deepens. Most actors are remembered for moments, a performance, a scene, a headline. Keanu's remembered for how he made people feel when the cameras weren't rolling. That's why years later, when celebrities are asked about him, there's often a pause before they answer. Not because they're searching for the right words, but because they're choosing which memory to share. Some talk about how he showed up early, stayed late, and treated everyone on set the same. Some mention how he quietly checked in on people without making it a public moment. Others talk about his humility, not the performative kind, but the kind that's consistent even when no one is watching. And here's the thing Hollywood doesn't say out loud. That kind of presence creates emotional gravity. People feel safe around it. They feel respected by it. They feel seen by it. And once someone makes you feel that way, admiration turns into loyalty. This is why Keanu is praised without defensiveness, why admiration never sounds forced, why even playful flirtation never crosses into mockery. It's always framed with warmth, because there's nothing to protect against. In a culture obsessed with visibility, Keanu mastered something far rarer: invisibility of ego. He never positioned himself above anyone, never used attention as leverage, never treated kindness as a performance. And paradoxically, that's what made him stand out. What's remarkable is that this admiration isn't limited to women or co-stars or fans. It's universal. Crew members, interviewers, strangers on the street. Everyone seems to walk away with the same quiet story. Not a dramatic one, not a viral one, just a human one. And maybe that's the real reason Hollywood can't stop falling for Keanu Reeves. Because beneath the fame, beneath the roles, beneath the mythology, he reminds people of something simple: that you don't have to be loud to be powerful. You don't have to dominate to be admired. You don't have to perform to be unforgettable. In an industry that teaches people how to be noticed, Keanu Reeves became unforgettable by doing the opposite. And that's not just rare in Hollywood, that's rare anywhere.